Hi everybody, welcome back to tnoozLIVE at the Aviation Festival. I'm Martin Cowan, I'm Editorial Director for tNews. Next up, we've got Pramod Jain, who is the Vice President of Airline Commercial Products for Sabre. Nice job title, Pramod, but what does a Vice President of Airline Commercial Products do on a daily basis?
Yeah, it's a pretty heavy title, I guess, yeah. Yeah, so as a Vice President of Airline Commercial Products, I get to look after all the commercial products that's required for an airline to generate revenue. Okay. So they serve the need of a chief commercial officer, of a chief revenue officer for the airline.
Okay, so that's who you deal with. It's not operations, it's pure revenue generating.
That's correct. It's about looking at vision, roadmap, strategy, where the market trends are. You look at new products and you set out the journey in terms of solving those market problems.
And you've made an announcement today. Just share with us what that is.
Sure, yeah. So we're here at this event to talk about the launch of our two new products, dynamic pricing, and it's a big term in the industry. It's something that everybody has their own definition on.
Okay.
And we believe that dynamic pricing is a journey or an evolution, and we're launching two new products, Fares Optimizer and Dynamic Availability, as an answer towards it.
Okay, so you said that dynamic pricing, everybody has their own definition. I must have heard the phrase dynamic pricing almost as many times as I've heard NDC today. Yeah. So what does Sabre see dynamic pricing as?
Yeah, so Sabre definition of dynamic pricing is the ability for the airline to increase or decrease the prices in real time, near real time, or in asynchronous fashion, depending on the context. The context is so important, which is a shopping context. Who is buying, when and where they're buying. And that's the most important aspect of dynamic pricing.
Okay, so you talk about where and when they're buying. Is that the direct channel? Is that through the TMC?
That's correct.
High street agents?
Correct. So dynamic pricing means that you are pricing everything that the airline is selling, which includes your perishable inventory, that's your seats, and then it includes your ancillaries as well, your products that you want to sell. Now, how quickly you respond to the market, what's happening, from a competition standpoint, how dynamically you change those fares and the offers around it to make it happen.
Okay, so I mean, are we at the stage now where airlines are in a position to sort of yield manage ancillaries? Is that happening? Have I missed something, or is it sort of a few months, years down the line?
Yeah, so I think we're living in a dual world. We're living in a hybrid world where there's a world of classes, the 26 fare classes that we operate in. A world that we have to file fares to ATPCO from an indirect channel perspective. Then there's also a new world that NDC is driving towards, where there's probably not going to be any classes anymore. You don't have to file fares anymore. And then you have the ancillaries aspect as well, where you have to be much more smarter about how are you pricing those ancillaries, how are you revenue managing those ancillaries. So this dual world we are talking about is a journey that Sabre is taking towards. We're solving for the fact that we live in a classes environment today, and we are dynamically pricing those seats and ancillaries around it.
Okay, so I mean, other than the sort of the dynamic pricing, I mean, what else is Sabre up to in terms of this sort of next gen tech that I know you've talked about quite extensively, but in sort of pure practical terms, what's going on?
Yeah, so a lot of exciting stuff happening from an innovation standpoint. Sabre is about to launch next month actually at a big event, a digital airline commercial platform, and it's basically a platform that's going to help drive revenue and customer experience. And it's an ecosystem that Sabre wants to build through the likes of solutions like dynamic pricing, through the likes of an ultra-fast shopping engine, through the consumer-grade UX and UI, truly a platform where it's not going to be just Sabre solutions, it's going to be third-party solutions, even airline homegrown solutions as well, to come and live together in that ecosystem and drive for personalized retailing. I think that's the main goal for us, to drive personalized retailing.
Oh, okay, I know you mentioned there that one of the benefits of what you do is sort of like the revenue for the airlines. I sort of get that, but in terms of the experience for the passenger, I mean, how does that sort of play into what you're doing?
Actually, it go hand in hand together, because when we talk about revenue generation for the airline, it starts from customer, knowing your customer and customer experience. If you look at other industries, and I'll just put Amazon over there and even Walmart and other retailers, they have figured out the art of knowing their customer, and that's why they get to the right offer at the right time. We in our industry, we have a long way to go, and I think we're making progress, where we are finding out a way to solve for disparate sources of data and get to know the customer. Once you have that information, then you're driving towards better experience, plus also driving towards more revenue, because as a customer, I'm in a much more better state. Economy is better, GDP is going better as well. So I want to spend money, but I want to spend money on the things that I want to buy. And which is why the offer management, knowing me, personalized offers are so important.
Okay, and I mean, to what extent are we having this conversation because of NDC? Do you think we might have got to this stage without NDC, or do you think NDC has been the
I think
basis
NDC has helped quite a bit in terms of steering up those conversations.
Yeah.
The execution of NDC is still in progress.
Yeah.
And that's why I called about this dual world, where there's a world of without NDC and there's a world of NDC. And it's going to take some time before we get to this NDC world, but in the interim, how do we solve for that, the experience you talked about?
Yeah.
How do you ensure that you don't leave money on the table from a pricing standpoint? How do you get to dynamic pricing version of what we have today and make it happen?
Yeah, no, somebody I had on the sofa earlier said that, that airlines don't really need to get any more passengers. I mean, load factors are quite high, but what airlines need to do is they need to optimize the revenue from each of the passengers on the flight. So, okay, so I mean, just thinking ahead. I mean, 3-5 years down the line, this dual world that you talked about might be less of a dual world. It might be more of a sort of NDC and other beyond NDC even world. I mean, where do you think that personalized pricing conversation would be like in a couple of years' time?
I think that's my own personal view, that we finally are at a stage where you will get to this personalized retailing. There will be a day when I don't have to shop for seats separately, ancillaries separately, hotels separately, cars separately. This will be all one offer. And this will all come together. And I will have an option to say, option 1, I don't like, option 2, option 3, option 4. And then one click, depending on which channel I'm using, what device I'm using, it will all happen. Similar to what you get from Amazon today, for example, where they know your buying history, they know what kind of things you like or dislike, and it becomes a much more easier and a pleasant experience to shop, versus in our industry where it's a process to get through.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've written about travel tech, and I do on occasion travel, and it still, frustrates and astounds me that it still seems to be quite a cumbersome process. I mean, it's better than it was 10 years ago, but it's still quite cumbersome. All right, well, Pramod, thank you very much for taking the time to join me on the sofa this afternoon. Martin Cowan, Editorial Director for tNews. tNews Live at the Aviation Festival. I'll be back shortly. Thank you.